everyone, welcome to episode number 19 of the Build podcast, and today we'll be going through Bash scripting. So, what is Bash? Now, according to Wikipedia, I just took out Wikipedia and it says Bash is a type of Unix shell. So, if you have been using command line, you would probably be using some kind of Bash to be coding out. Now, there are many types of shells, and one of them is called Born Again shell, which is Bash. And this is also found in Linux or Mac OS X systems. Also, something else that I use is also called Z shell. So for today's episode, we will be concentrating on Bash scripting. Now, why do you need to know Bash? And I found this very nice Q&A in Stack Exchange. Why should I learn Bash scripting on Linux from a perspective of a web developer? And I found that the answers are really useful. For example, one of them says that if you're approaching or learning a new language, this is very important. But more importantly, I think for me, it is automating tasks or scheduling tasks such as cron or using some kind of shell script. So do go through this Q&A to understand why Bash scripting for any developer or any kind of shell scripting is so useful. And I also want to introduce to about a few pages or websites. One of them is Bash Programming, which was updated probably this year. So very useful to go through them. I'll be going through the basics of many of these. The other one is Bash Guide for Beginners. Also, it goes through from top down on how to approach Bash scripting using the command line. And of course, the last one is a little bit advanced, but very useful as well. So I highly recommend you to check out some kind of shell scripting, and you can definitely start with Bash. So let's get started with Bash scripting. And to do that, we will open up this program called Terminal, which is found typically in our Mac OS environment. As you can see, I have opened up Terminal. And this is the command line interface. So like I mentioned before, there are various types of Unix shells. So let us find out what are the other shells that are available. So in order to do that, we'll type in cat etc/shells. And over here, you will see that Bash is one of them. And ZSH is also one of them. And of course, after you learn some of them, you can go on to try out various of them. So the next one we'll do is I'll do echo, and I will type out what is the current shell I'm using. So the command will be echo and then $shell. $shell will be some kind of variable. So let's see what the answer is. And there you have it. It tells me that I am using Bash. The other useful one that I feel will be helpful is to know the version of Bash I'm using. So for that, the command will be echo and then $bash_version. So let's see what the version is. There you go, 3.2.48 release 1. As you can see that there are various global variables like shell and bash_version. So what are the other type of variables? So if we type in env for environment, we will see other type of variable like term or shell. That's something we just tried. And lastly, before we get on to Bash scripting, is very useful to know where is Bash residing. So for that, we'll do which bash, and it will tell you, hey, I'm in the folder /bin/bash. All right, so let's get started with Bash scripting. The very first one is just echoing out. So for this, we'll do echo hello world just into our command line. And it will give us hello world. Now, what if we want to store this echo something in some sort of variable? Well, we can do with Bash as well, just like many or almost all programming languages. So let's do OS or operating system equals to Mac. I am using then $OS will give me, hey, I'm using a Mac. So now if I go ahead and change OS equals to Linux, and then I do echo, I'm using a variable OS, it will tell you, hey, I'm using a Linux. So this is very simple variable, and then kind of printing out the commands. But of course, I would love to store all this in a file so that I don't have to keep typing like many other programming languages. And inside my desktop, I will create a simple file called touch and then hello.sh. sh will be for shell scripting. So let's go ahead and open up sh in Sublime. I will start with the first line, which says what shell we are using. And to do that, the command will be hatch. Let me just blow it up a little bit. Hatch and then exclamation / bin / bash. Variable equals to hello world and then echo the variable. Now let me come back to my terminal, and to execute that I'll do hello.sh. This will not happen, so what we have to do is /hello.sh. Now this will also not happen because permission is denied. So if we do ls-al to know the permission, we will see that, hey, we do not have an executing option for our user. So we will have to do the permission change. So let's do that. So we will do chmod u + x and then the file name. Now after that, if we do /hello, hey, we got the variable here. Let me just change it to $str so that we can actually see it will be hello world. Now that we learned how to create a very simple shell script and execute it, let's get into a little bit more about bash scripting. So that was a little bit about variable and echoing out to the variable. Now next we will learn is some simple if-else logic. I will first start with two variables. String 1 is foo and string 2 is bar, and now I'll compare them with an if-else, simple if-else logic. I will echo out, hey, they are the same. Else I will echo out, they are not the same. And in bash, we end the if-else logic loop with fi. So let's go ahead and run it in the terminal. There you have it. They say it's not the same, but let me come back here and put both of them to foo, and let's see what happens. As expected, it will say it's the same. Now let's go ahead and do some for loop with our bash script. So I'm just going to delete it. For I, we will insert in a tilde. So we'll do sequence 1 to 10. And we'll have a little semicolon, do echo $I, and then we will end it with done. Let's run this. And there you have it. We have 1 to 10 all printed out. So that was a very simple for loop. Next, let's try to create a little function. And for that, we will do function, hello, and curly brackets open and close. And this time we'll do hello, echo, hello from the function. And of course, after we define the function, we will call the function with just hello. And let's see how it looks. So I'll just call it once again, and there you go, hello from the function. So after this, let's add in a function with some parameters. Function e and then curly brackets echo $1. So this is the variable that we have to read in. So we'll call the function, and the first variable will be just hello. And let's say we call the function once again, and the second one will be hello world. So let's save it and call the function, the shell script. And there you have it. We have hello and world being called twice. We will have a little bit of Q&A and create another interactive shell script. So let's start with that. And to take in the user input, we'll do read, let's say first and second. Let's say we will take in 2 user inputs. And then we will echo out, awesome, you use the first Unix shell and then the second Unix shell. And remember that we have to use the $sign behind the variable name here. So let's go ahead and do it. So hello, and immediately they will ask us a question. So let's just say, hey, I use bash and ZSH, and there you have it. You use bash and ZSH. This is a very simple interactive shell script. And lastly, let's do an automated task. So for this, I will create in another file called start, and let me open this up in Sublime Text. And inside start, once again, I'll make sure that it is interpreted as bash. So I'll include the first line. And let's say for this little shell script to automate our task, we will be creating some starter templates for some directories and stuff. So to do that, we will first ask the user, hey, what is your project name? And we will read in the project name, just project, and we will make a directory called that. And after that, we will cd into the directory. So once again, the same name as what the user input, and we will create some folders and files. And there you have it. It's a typical front-end development boilerplate where you have index.html and you have some empty directories, and you also have empty script.js and style.css, right? So let's save it. And this time when I come here, I will just put start. And of course, it will say command not found. So let's just check the permissions. And as you can see that the permission for start is not available. And just like what we did before, we'll do a chmod. And now when we do /start, it will straight away ask us our project name. So let's say our project name is to do. And immediately it's done. So let's go inside and see whether to do is created. So there you have it, to do is created. So I'm just gonna cd inside to do, and let's see whether the folder structure has been created. So you see immediately it has been created. So this is a very simple way to kickstart your project. So let's say once again we start the project by /start, and let's say this time our project name is school. And once again, we can cd inside school. And if you look at the structure, hey, it's created. So it's a very simple way to create your shell script and automate a lot of this task. Next, we will learn how to create our bash profile. Now here we store some configurations that loads up every time we start the command line. And they are very useful to call in some path or create some alias or even customize your bash prompt, which is this little thing that comes up just before you type in the command line. So all this can be done in bash profile. Now by default, bash profile, this file resides in our home directory. So let's just make sure we are in our home directory, and we will create this file called .bash_profile. And of course, right now it is all empty. So firstly, we will explore how to ensure that a path to a certain directory is available. So let's go ahead and shift this start script that we made to a folder inside our sites file. So let me just go ahead and create a new folder called scripts. And I will move the start over here to the scripts folder. This is also a good way to organize and make sure that all our scripts that we create in the future are residing in one folder. However, if we come back to our desktop, so let's say we go to our desktop and we do start, which is the same thing as before, we will see that, hey, there is no such start. But what if every time I want to access the script folder and every time we say start, the shell script should be available? And to do that, we can come and edit our bash profile. We will do export, and this time we will include the path to the script folder, and then once again colon and then $path. So this will make sure that whatever files and folders are inside this script will be available every time we run the command line. Now let's do start once again. It will obviously not happen because we have not synced the changes in the bash profile file. So to do that, we'll do source and then home directory /.bash profile. Now let's do a start. Hey, so immediately you get access to the shell script. So once again, we'll do the same thing. Let's say this time our project name is called flower, and it's done. And when we kind of see this, we will see a directory called flower. And if we go inside flower and we do the file and folder structure, we see it right there. The next thing we will learn is alias. So we have school and to do. So as you know that flower is a folder and so is school. So if I try to remove flower, let's see what happens. It will tell me that a flower is a directory. So to do that, we often need to do rm-rf recursively, and then if we do flower, it will be removed. So you see if the flower directory is no longer there. But rm then space dash rf is quite a little bit of typing. So what if I want to alias it? Obviously I'm showing a very simple example, so let's just do rd, which is remove directory, and I will create an alias. So I'll do rm minus rf. So let's try that. So now if I do rd and school, it should work. Obviously this will not work because I have to source the bash file once again. So let's do that. Now if I do rd school, let's see what happens. It is probably removed, so there you go. I don't have the school anymore. So this is a very fun way to create some aliases or shortcuts to a lot of the original bash commands. So this is a second way that you can use your bash profile. Now lastly, I think it is quite fun is to customize our bash prompt, which is this little line that comes before every line of command line that we do, and that is called bash prompt. So bash prompt is found in this thing called ps1 variable. So to do that, we'll do export ps1, and then we'll do equal to inverted comma, and let me do /u, and let's see what happens. /u, and of course this time I will have to come back and source the bash script, and immediately you see that my bash prompt has changed. And /u, as you can see, it means it is the username of the current user. So let's go ahead and do @/h. So let's see what this will do. So I am once again going to source the bash profile and do and immediately my bash prompt is changed. So it is @Lepiska, which is my laptop name. So /h will give you the laptop name that you have given. And let me write it in and then /w. So let's see what /w will give us. So I'm going to source bash profile once again, and immediately you see that it will be in the path, and I will cut and paste in what I have originally as my bash prompt. So over here, firstly, I have a function that defines what git branch I am in, if I am in this git version control in the folder, and then I have ps1 and a pretty complicated thing. So let's see what it does. So I'm going to come back here and source bash profile, and there you see I have my username and the path in color, and I'm starting the command line in a new line with a symbol here. So there are some pretty cool stuff you can do with a bash prompt as well. Now lastly, what we'll do is a cron job. So what is a cron job? The Wikipedia page will tell us very simply that cron job is a time-based job scheduler in Unix-like operating systems. So along with shell scripts, which kind of automates your task, you can use a cron job to schedule that very task. So firstly, we learn how to list the cron jobs we already have, and the command to do that is cron tab -l for listing. Obviously we have none. Also, you can find out more about cron job by just manual and cron, and you will see it will give you some instructions and some explanations about cron job. I'll press Q to exit. Now next, what we'll do is we will first have to create the shell script that we want to execute via the cron job. So to do that, I'll just create touch and then print date.sh, another new shell script, and let me just open it up in the Sublime Text. And over here I will create a very simple shell script that will just print out and append the current date to a file. So once again, I will make sure that it is interpreting as a bash script, and then I will print the date to a file called o.txt. So once again, when we just type in date, it will print out the current date. So exactly that's what I'm doing, and I'm piping it to this file in the desktop called o.txt. And every time I want via the cron job to do this every minute. So let's see how to do that. So I'll once again come back to the command line, and this time I'll do cron tab -e. And this will open up a blank text editor in Vim. it is blank because, as we saw before, there were no other cron job. And next I will, because there's a Vim editor, I will press I for the insert mode right at the bottom as we see here, and I will paste in some commands. Now first let's go back to the Wikipedia page and see the format of cron job. Over you see there are like 5 asterisks followed by the shell script and some commands. So the 5 asterisks basically refers to the time values, so minute, hour, day of the month, day, and day of the week. So let's type in some values over here. So over here my first asterisk is asterisk /1 because I want this to be executed every minute for the purpose of our demo. Of course, in our normal cron job you can do it every 5 minutes or every month or something like that. And of course I will give the path name to the shell script, and the shell script is of course printdate.sh that we just created. So I will press escape and then :WQ to save and exit. And once we do that, we will see this command that will say cron tab installing a new cron job. So immediately it will happen. So let us do see what happens to the o.txt file, and to track it we will just do tail-f o.txt and see what happens. And there you have it. The cron job is running every minute, and you just saw that it also printed out the date inside o.txt. So all I'm doing is tailing the file and watching the changes inside the file. So it's pretty powerful what cron jobs can do for you. So I hope it gave you a brief overview about bash scripting and what you can do in order to automate and schedule a lot of your tasks. So lastly, let's go through some of the links related to bash scripting. There is this one link that I've included in the show note by Apple developer, and it goes through a lot of bash scripting. Next, there is also sample bash profile that you can look through and pick up some tips and tricks about how to configure your bash profile and be more productive. And lastly, there is also how to customize your bash prompt into something really awesome and colorful and informative. And there is also a Stack Overflow link on best practices for maintaining cron job and shell scripts. I thought it's a little bit good reading on the best practices. And for the build link of the week, all right, so that's for this week I have chosen Coursera. It is a website that offers free online courses by partnering with many of the leading universities. So for example, currently I have picked up these courses which complements my web development and mobile development skills. So I would love to learn more about hardware or algorithms. And of course, for your case, you can also choose psychology or sustainability and many other courses. And for example, if I go to a current class right here and view the courses, you will see that there are video by the lecturers, and there are also some tutorials and even quizzes and assignments. Of course, it is upon your diligence on how much you want to learn and do, but I do believe that this is a great website for you to pick up courses. And you can of course go ahead and search for the course you want by university or by category. Plenty of stuff to learn. So go ahead and check out coursera.org. And finally, for all the other episodes of Build Podcast, visit build-podcast.com. You can subscribe via RSS or GitHub or iTunes, YouTube, and Vimeo, and have fun building stuff. Right? So I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.